95% of your anxiety, stress, regret, anger, and general suffering comes from a single thing you're doing every single day. One thing alone. You are placing expectations on people, on yourself, and on life that are causing a tremendous amount of harm. By the end of this video, I'm going to prove to you why expectations are ruining your life. Have you ever treaded water, like in a pool, a lake, or the ocean? Imagine it. See yourself treading water and see that ocean surface extending forever off into the horizon. See the sun setting. See the skyline and the colors ripping across it, and feel the stillness and the presence. This is the state of being for maintaining zero expectations or attachment to life. You're not in need of anything, and everything is just perfect as it is. This is your line of peace. What happens if all of a sudden something pulls you down under the water? Absolute terror and fear. When we sink below our line of peace, we feel fear or one of its counterparts. Shame, guilt, regret, anger, impatience, frustration, anxiety, stress, sadness, etc. When we sink below the line of peace, we become upset. What happens if you magically begin floating above the ocean surface? Go with it for a second. You'd feel emotions beyond peace. Excitement, happiness, pleasure, pride, value, joy, confidence, appreciation, and love. When we rise above the line of peace, we experience emotions beyond peace. My goal is for you to stay on your line of peace and minimize the frequency and duration of dipping below it. In order to prove that expectations are ruining your life, we have to show you why attachment is such a horrible investment. I'm going to do that by running you through 4 different situations, and then you're going to determine how you feel after each situation. It's either going to be happy, above your line of peace, at your line of peace, or indifferent, or upset and below your line of peace. First situation, you and your roommate are sitting in your family room of your house. Suddenly, your roommate pops up and says, "I'm gonna go grab a glass of water from the kitchen. I'll be right back." In this first situation, you have expectation to also receiving a glass of water. Whatever the justification is, that's how I was raised, that's what I would do, that's the appropriate thing to do for another person, is to bring them that glass of water. You expect to receive one for yourself. How do you feel now that you see your roommate returned without a glass of water that you expected to get from them? Are you happy and above that line of peace, at that line of peace, or are you pretty upset? I've asked this question about 1,000 times, and the typical response is this: well, I expected to get a glass of water and I didn't get it, so yeah, I'm pretty upset. So the conclusion here is having the expectation to get something led to us dipping below our line of peace and becoming upset. Second situation is the same, except here your roommate brings you that glass of water. How do you feel now that you received that? Are you super duper happy, above that line of peace? Are you at that line of peace and indifferent? Or did you fall below it feeling upset? It's really not a big deal. You pretty much are indifferent at that moment. You haven't come off that line of peace. Imagine yourself in a restaurant asking the server for a glass of water and then getting it. You're really not super overjoyed. You're definitely not upset. You're pretty much indifferent. And that's the typical response I get from the majority of people who are asked this question. So now let's take the first 2 situations. You see, in the first one, we dipped below that line of peace. And in the second one, we pretty much remained at that line of peace. So take the average of those 2, and we end up falling below our line of peace 50% of the time when we have expectations or attachment to life being a certain way. Let's move on to situations 3 and 4 where you have zero attachment or expectation to life being other than what life is. So in situation 3, when your roommate pops up and tells you they're grabbing a glass of water, it's like they're saying, "Hey, just a heads up, I'm going to be in the corner breathing air. I gotta stop getting roommates off Craigslist." So when they come back to the room without a glass of water for you, how do you feel? Upset, at peace, or happy? Nothing happened to affect you, so you have not come off that line of peace. That is also the typical response I've received. But I have to prove my point here with situation 4, where your roommate pops up, says they're gonna grab a glass of water, and you don't care. Has nothing to do with you, and then they return from the kitchen with a glass of water for you. Something kind happened. How do you feel? The typical response here is, I actually feel pretty good because I wasn't expecting anything, and this kind of thing happened. This nice thing happened in my life to bring me above that line of peace and feel happy. Thank you so much. Overall conclusion is that attachment causes suffering, and no attachment leads to peace with plenty of opportunity for happiness. Not only that, think of what the attachment caused in the moment. Did you judge your roommate? Did you shame them or label them as selfish? Did you label yourself as the victim of an awful experience? Did that attachment take away from what was a pleasant enough environment before a simple glass of water ruined it? You don't fall below your line of peace and become upset when the grocery store is out of bread, or when there's unexpected traffic, or when your coworker is a complete jerk. You suffer when you expect all that stuff not to happen. How does it make you feel when me, Joe Hehn, is waiting in traffic or dealing with a grumpy colleague? It doesn't affect you in the least bit. It's a neutral event. But your lower mind or ego, the part of your mind that is limiting and fear-based and disempowering, it uses every and any opportunity it can to place attachment on life because it wants to take everything personally, and it wants to be able to manage these threats. If everything is treated as a threat, the chances are a lot better we can see a threat coming and therefore protect ourselves from it. That's a great mindset for war and battles, but not in times of peace. The majority of our suffering is caused by attachment, so the fastest and most efficient way for minimizing suffering is by releasing attachment. Here's where it gets a little bit confusing though. We are human, and not all attachment is created equal. There's an actual pain scale. Have you ever gone into the hospital because of an injury or an illness, and they asked you what kind of pain you're experiencing from 1 to 10? The attachment pain scale is very similar. Let's say you get home from a very long day at work and your wife immediately hands over the kids, and in your mind you're like, are you kidding me? I just walked through the door. Can I have a moment to breathe? On a pain scale from 1 to 10, this would maybe be a 2. This is the kind of attachment that is like getting a paper cut. The range for these types of events is 1 to 3 on that pain scale. Paper cuts of attachment are minimal and common, but they can still hurt like hell. Your computer glitches, Amazon delivery is late, the server messed up your order, or somebody is just rude to you. Have you ever heard of the phrase, death by 1,000 cuts? Let's jump up the pain scale a little bit here from 4 to 7. This is like breaking an arm or falling down the stairs. Here, you missed a really important flight, or your boss is cruel to you and the work environment is super toxic, or your partner is gaslighting you all the time, or maybe your kids can't seem to listen and are making your life truly difficult. You have no confidence in yourself and overwhelming anxiety. Should you not have attachment to wanting the best for your children, or fair treatment from your boss, or a decent amount of self-worth? That sounds almost silly or even cruel, but by releasing attachment, something magical happens. We're either able to improve the situation or make an exit and create a better one for ourselves. Now let's take top of the pain scale here, 8 to 10. This is like losing a limb. This is like when a loved one passes away, or your business goes absolutely bankrupt, or your spouse leaves you without warning, or maybe your house burns down. Ideally speaking, all suffering is based on attachment to life being other than what life is. But if someone had said to me, it's a neutral event, you simply have attachment to your wife not dying, I may have kicked them in the head. We're human, and humans are allowed and encouraged to experience emotion. Emotion is a gift. When wielded correctly, It's a superpower. Emotion connects, it guides, it grants, it elevates, and extends endless amounts of beauty in life. I'm here to help you create a mindset and perspective of healthy and sustainable emotional regulation. That's right. Regulating your emotions is an intentional, conscious endeavor. We need to minimize the frequency and time in emotion which doesn't serve to empower and inspire your experience. My goal through this work is to help you massively diminish the attachment and associated suffering that lies on the lower or even the middle end of that pain scale. Can you imagine not suffering at all from all those kinds of experiences? This is where a transformation resides. And not suffering from all the small and middle ground stuff grants you a few things here. It frees up mental and emotional bandwidth so that you can make a mindful and intentional investment to healing from past wounds which have served to debilitate and weaken you over time. It allows you to experience a lot more peace and appreciation and meaning and beauty and love in your day-to-day life because the lens in which you're viewing life is transformed or elevated. This leads to a massive reduction in anger and impatience, stress and anxiety, or feelings of doubt and failure, while increasing your confidence, your self-worth, and your faith in yourself and your ability to achieve your goals. It also grants you somewhat of an invisible gift. It's invisible because you won't notice it until it's important and until it's happening. Releasing attachment to the small and middle stuff better prepares you to manage and navigate your peace and well-being when something higher on the pain scale occurs. I've been a frantic lunatic when my lower mind was at the helm and catastrophe struck. And I've also been fortunate enough to manage a severe event wielding my higher mind. I promise you this, the experience is infinitely better when you're equipped with the latter, and your chances of creating viable solutions are also that much better. Releasing attachment is the one thing you can do which will make the biggest and most immediate impact on your quality of mind and your day-to-day experiences for the rest of your entire life. Sorry I had to run out of my office and wrangle a 2-year-old, but I'm at peace with it. I'm a little out of breath, but I don't have attachment to my little son not being a 2-year-old and being more respectful of daddy when he's filming. I went out there, handled the situation, even had some joy. Got to tickle him and play with him and toss him around, and we were laughing and giggling. And now I came back to work. But my mind had an opportunity to be very frustrated and very upset because life was not aligning with what I wanted out of life. That kind of perspective is not natural. And through decades of training my own mind and then the minds of other people, I've developed a step-by-step process for releasing attachment. The lower mind sometimes works like a dog. And in order to train a dog to get it to happily, and I mean happily, do what is best for it and what we want it to do, we know that positive encouragement and reinforcement is the most efficient method. The good thing about your mind is this: an old dog can learn new tricks. It just takes a bit of time, dedication, and resilience. In my next video, I'm going to break down how to release attachment as well as explain why it works so well. My process is efficient and super effective, but you have to do the work. I'm like a personal trainer for the mind, but if you're not putting in the reps, then how are you going to achieve the results? Here's something you can start doing today, which serves as the very first step for making a massive improvement in your mindset and therefore your overall well-being. Simply observe when you feel triggered and dip below your line of peace. If it helps, write it down in your phone, what the trigger was and how much it affected you from 1 to 10. And in my next video, I'll break down a series of follow-up steps to help you out so that you can master your attachment and release that unwanted expectation. Observation and watching your mind is the very first step in setting it free. And I'm here to help, so let me know what questions you have by leaving them in the comment section, and feel free to give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you next week.